Have you LS swapped your OBS? And the one thing that you don't have that you really wish you did was a working tachometer. If you're like me, my gauge package had the old Moonstyle gauges and I didn't have a tachometer. And I didn't really want to go to the expense of trying to track down an older style gauge cluster that might have a tach and try to make it work. I happen to have an aftermarket tach on my engine test run stand and realized, I'm really not using it as much as I thought I would. Let's put that over on the truck. So that's what my project is for today. If you're thinking about installing an aftermarket tach on your truck and you're not quite sure where to start, where the wires go, this is a video for you. Let me show you what I'm working on. Okay, here's my intended placement for the tach. And from the driver's perspective, the video really doesn't show it as well as I can see it, but it sits right in the center of the gauge cluster. I'll mount it to the steering column. I'll still be able to see my speedometer, and there's really nothing blocked that's important. So there's nothing really behind it. So it's going to work out just fine. I happen to be using an Autometer auto gauge. There are 4 wires. There's a red key-on power wire. There's a black ground. There's a green signal wire that will actually connect to the actual tach signal that your engine's producing, and a white wire that is for the illumination of your gauge. If this particular gauge anyway has a light bulb in it so that it can illuminate at night. Now a lot of guys will mount the key-on power with the white light bulb and just have it constantly illuminated, just because it's a hassle to tap into a source for the gauge cluster lights. But that also means that your light on your gauge is going to be on all the time, and if it is, it just means you're going to burn that bulb out a little faster, and then you're going to have a new little project to do. So I'm going to wire up all the 4 wires individually where they're supposed to go, and I'll show you how I did it. Okay, let's start off under the hood. I only have 1 wire actually that's attached out here, but let me show you how it's done. There are different ways of finding the tach signal on your particular motor or combination. So I'll have to show you how I did it on this because it was using parts I already had. For the tach signal, I actually had a harness from Autometer that plugs into the electrical harness for the coil packs. Now this is specifically for an LS, but you can see over here on the coil pack, here is an adapter that goes in between. So it snaps in place of the original harness wire, and then the harness wire connects here. So it's just this simple module. Literally takes you about 5 seconds to install it. It runs to the other side, right here across the top. It has Y in it. This other side comes around to this plug-in. It has a module, looks like this. And I mounted it actually in the same place where originally on the LS, on the power steering and alternator bracket. This is a little bracket that had a red cap on it, and this is where the power from your battery wire came through, and it forked off and went to your alternator. So I used that same bracket, just trimmed it up a little bit, mounted the module to it so it's close by and it's out of the way. And it has a little connector here, and this literally all has 1 wire. And I ran it through the firewall here, and this is where the wiring there, where that comes off of the tach module to go to the gas pedal. That literally is going to be my tach signal. Now the wire's on the inside, and I will take you inside and show you where the rest of it goes. Okay, under the dash, you're looking at the wires coming off the tach right here. And there's 4. There's the red, black, green, and white right here. And the green wire is a signal wire. I put a spade on it, and here's that gray wire that was coming in from the engine compartment. So that connection, that's simple. That's probably the easiest one. The red wire goes to your key-on power, and the way I found the best source for a key-on power that's close is, get in here, is this little cluster of connections just to the left of the clutch pedal behind the emergency brake pedal. And see up in here, it's kind of hard for me to get up in there, there's some spades coming off there. You can check to see if they have power with an ohm meter. And I just connected my ground to this bracket here and was touching those probes to see what had power. None of them had power when the engine was turned off. I turned the key on to see which ones had power and found that the third one down that has the WHT for white had key on power. So I just extended my red wire out, put a spade on it, and put it in that position. And there's your key on power. The ground was simple enough. I simply extended the black wire out a bit, and then let's see if you can see it right here. This is the ground. There was a metal bracket that extends out just a little bit, and I put a clip on it with a thread screw and put my ground directly into that. So that only leaves the white wire left for the gauge illumination, or the gauge bulb. And what I decided to do there, now if you'll notice, I got the whole dash kind of tore apart. That's not just for this. I'm working on some other things as well, but this is a specific thing. On your dash light, this is correct for the 91. You'll have to double check on your truck to make sure the wiring is the same, because they did make some minor changes throughout the years. But this is the main plug-in to turn on your lights with. The plug on the right goes to your dimmer switch for your dash. On that dimmer switch, there are 4 wires: black, white, brown, and green. Now this is specific to the 91 I'm working on. It may be similar for other years. These are the 4 wires that pertain to the 91. Now to look at them, you're going to wonder, okay, which one controls the dimmer? In this case, it is the green wire. And what I'm going to do is I created a little jumper, and I'm going to connect it between the 2 green wires, and I'll connect the spade that's on the white wire to it, and that way it'll be tapped in. It'll be tapped into the dim. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know it's the green wire? That's a good question. Let me show you. This is a 1991 Chevy CK electrical diagnosis wiring diagram manual. This is from GM. It's about, that thick. These are really nice. I've bought these for most of the years of the GM trucks. And the way I can tell, when you look into these manuals, and they're really nice, I found a figure. This, if you happen to have one of these, is page 171. This is a diagram of the left-hand side of the instrument panel. Up here at the top, these are the 2 switches for the lights, number 2 and 3, which down here it tells you it's the panel dimmer switch and the light switch. So number 2 is the dimmer switch, and it has a connector, C208. I found C208 over here on page 106, and C208 is right here. C204 is above it. This is the regular headlight switch. This is the dimmer switch. Now the common wires, the black and the white, it's not showing on this particular diagram. It just shows the brown and the green. And I noticed that the brown, and I'm only mentioning this because I've seen another video that in that particular instance, the guy tied into the brown wire, and for him, maybe that was correct. I don't remember what truck it was, what year truck. But in this case, the brown wire goes up to here, which goes back over to the main switch. It comes down and over and goes to the radio. It comes down and goes over to this area here. That tells me it's probably more of a main power than it is, or main communication, than it is a dimmer. Whereas the green wire comes down to here, and it spreads out and it goes back to the radio. It also goes to the instrument cluster, which tells me, okay, if that's a common wire that goes to those 2 items, that may be the dimming wire, or the wire that controls the dimming process. So we're going to tap into it right now and test it out just to be sure that that's accurate. Okay, this is the little junction I made soldered in. Covered up this wire. I accidentally cut the brown wire earlier. That's why it looks the way it does. I've got it all soldered all together. It's fine. And I've put the junction now between the two green wires. So let's see how that works. Okay, now the moment of truth. I'm going to turn the switch on. And yes, it does. The gauges light up. It's kind of harder to see the gauge cluster because it's kind of a light green, but it does work. And the fader, yes, just right. Appreciate a like and subscribe, and if you learn anything, give me your thoughts down below. Let me know if you enjoyed the video, if you've had similar troubles in installing your own tachometer, and what you did to make it work. Thanks for watching.